Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. We're live. It's Monday night, 7:30 till 8. Every week we do this. It's just me. It's just you. We chat. We can talk about exactly what you want to talk about. Obviously, it's international break, which we're all thoroughly bored with. But on Saturday, in fact, on Friday, what am I talking about? Leicester go to Southampton. We're all thinking back to that 9-0 a few seasons ago, how things have changed. But who knows? We want to know what you think about the game building up to that, Southampton away on Friday night, and indeed the next 5 games, tricky games. We want your views, your comments in tonight's live Fanzone show. Join us for the next 29 minutes. Yes, good evening. Don't forget, follow us at Leicester Fan TV, whatever channel you want to be watching it on social media. We're there on them all. My name is Phil. I'm the editor here at Leicester Fan TV, but I want to hear all about you. We've got 5 important games coming up across the bottom there. Southampton away, Norwich away, Bristol City at home, Blackburn away, Preston North End at home. To which Preston North End, let's be honest, we all thought at the start of the season that might be one of the more straightforward ones, but there they are, sat top of the tree. So get your views in, get your comments in. This is your show. Remember that. We'll get as many up on screen as possible. Good evening, Matty. Hope you're well. Hayden, Phil, Craig, thank you for all your hellos. Nick Moore says, do you think we'll see Cannon on Friday? Well, I don't know. We've been a bit misfiring, the Cannons have up front, so maybe getting the real Cannon on might do it. Again, you might want to talk about that. We didn't sell Patson Daka, so should he be in the squad? There's a talking point for you. You've got a £20 million striker, scored a lot of goals at his previous club. We bought him for 20 million. Surely, should he be in the squad? Over to you. Let me know on that. Jamie Vardy, what's happening there? We just don't seem to play his way. Hayden says another 9-0 on Friday. Hayden, they don't come around very often, so I would be highly surprised. I'm a bit more like Andy says here, going to be a tough game. On to Karen, hope you're well. Are you going to the game, or will we see you next time down outside the King Power Stadium? I hope so. Hayden says, my friend thinks 11-1. Is your friend a Leicester fan, Hayden, or a Southampton fan? I know Southampton got a bit of a gupping 5-0 last game, but trust me, it's not going to be straightforward. The next 5 games will show us really. Andy, you can answer this. Anybody can answer this. 5 games. Look at the bottom. There they are. Southampton, Norwich, both away. Bristol City at home. Welcome back, Nigel Pearson. Blackburn away. Preston North End at home. Not easy. How many points? There's 2 or 3 things there. How many points do you think we'll get? How many do you think you want us? You know, there's 2 things there. How many really do you think we get, and how many do you think we might get? Let's get them in there. Andreas, hope you're well. Where are you watching from, Andreas? I'm a bit put off by that profile picture there. Anyway, Craig says the next 5 games will be the test to see where we are. I agree, Craig. After 10 games, there's been a mixed bag. Those first 5, they probably weren't the trickiest 5, and we did make a little bit hard work of it. But listen, hey, we won 4 and we lost 1, as we all know. Andrew says if we lose at Southampton, then the critics of Enzo's new system will really start. Well, Andrew, you know I'm not going to say I'm on the fence. I'm backing Enzo all the way, but it's going to be an interesting one. Southampton, Norwich, 2 tough games. They're 2 teams. All the next 5 teams are in, I believe, the top 8, even Bristol City. So, okay, we're only 5 games in, but the next 5, they're all against sides who are moving in the right direction this season. So it is going to be an interesting one. Andy says here, do you think Suter will get a game? I don't know, Andy. Again, we bought him, what was it, 15 million in January? Not getting a look in with Enzo. Has he even played? Don't think he even played pre-season, did he, Andy? So I think the Suter, obviously, we didn't sell him. There was a lot of talk of him going to Rangers, Andy, but again, a little injury here. We've had Cody out for a couple of weeks now. If something was happened to Vestergaard, he's going to be there to come in, isn't it? Bubba says, let's get restarted. Bubba, I'm with you on there. International breaks. We've all, well, you know, had enough of them. Andy says, just got to give Cannon the ball. Boom, boom. Thanks, Andy. How many more you got about Cannon? Yeah, you've got a few. I'm sure you have. Thank you for that. Anyway, Gav says Daka and Cannon should both start on Friday. That's not going to happen, Gav. Because I don't think so, is he? You might. I mean, Gav, that might be are you daydreaming there? I don't. Does anybody think 2 strikers will start on Friday? Because I don't know too much about Cannon. But I don't think he's a striker, isn't he? So I don't think he'll be there. Dave says, "Do you think Enzo knows his best 11 yet?" I think Dave he knows the core of it already. I think we can all see the core of it, but I think he is playing around a little bit. Obviously, wingers. He's got a lot of choice from wingers. They all look a bit. They seem to play a little bit similar to me, the wingers. So it's going to be interesting to see who does play in there. Could Mavididi play up top, a number 9 sort of role in there? Be interesting. Nick says he'll take 10 points from those 5 games. Do you agree with Nick? Do you think 10 points, 2 points a game? 2 points a game in this league would get you, let's do the maths. There's 46 games, 2, 8, 2. That's about promotion, isn't it? 2 points a game for the whole season. We would be promoted, I think, in there. Patrick, always the bringer of doom and gloom. Thank you, Patrick. You're with, 6 to 9 points. Now, that's, I think, Patrick being realistic. 6 to 9 points in his mind. Do you agree with that, or do you think it more? Obviously, 5 games, it could be 15 points. Bubba says he's seeing 10 points in there, which is interesting. Hayden says there Cannon will score a cannonball strike. You just know that it's a commentator's dream, isn't it, when Cannon scores one, especially if it's a long-range belter in there. Cody coming back, but who does he replace? I think he's been in training a little bit now, hasn't he, Andy? But I don't think he'll come back in this Friday. Don't think he'll come straight back in. Do you? I'd be surprised if they chuck Cody straight back in there. Gav's saying this is about the strikers. We need to mix it up. Have we had a striker yet? Gav, listen. I'm with you. I want to see some strikers get the ball and do something. I'd like to see us every now and then ping the ball over the top to Jamie Vardy, or indeed Patson Daka, or whoever. Go a little bit more direct, a little bit fast. But I will get told off for saying that, because apparently you're not allowed to play that way. Not the Enzo way. So there won't be any of that, Gav. We'll play passy, 680 passes completed, I think, in the last game, and 1 shot on target. So do the maths. You can work it out. Listen, I'm not sounding miserable. I'm just being like, I like to see it in the box a little bit more. I like to see it in the mixer. I'm definitely old school. Put it in the mixer. Mavididi, one of the worst players I've seen in the past 10 to 15 years. Richard. No. Listen, we're talking in the Leicester Fan TV office earlier. We're having a debate. So you guys can help me with this one on there. We were talking about some of the players we've signed. And one person in the office, who shall be named, not named, was saying that Mavididi is definitely Premier League quality. To which my argument was, he's definitely not Premier League quality, because if he was Premier League quality, he would be playing in the Premier League. The reason he's come to a Championship side is because that's his level at the moment. Now, maybe a great season this year, Mavididi could be a Premier League player next year with Leicester, and therefore he's earned it. But it's an interesting one in there. I certainly don't agree with Richard saying Mavididi is one of the worst players I've seen in the last 10 to 15 years. Have you not seen Patson Daka or Sumari, Richard? Because there's 2. And that's without dipping back into the 15 years ago, crikey, 2008. Richard, Richard again, 2008? 2000, we got relegated, mate, to League One. Check that team out. In fact, where is it? Wait. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Look. This is the worst team ever. The 1 year I managed to get hold of a fully signed Leicester City pendant. Look at that. That is beautiful. But do you know what team that is? That is the team that got relegated to League One. That's officially the worst ever Leicester City side. And that's on my wall. What a lucky boy I am. Anyway, I'll have to pin it back up on there. So, yeah, anyway, we're getting sidetracked. That's what always happens. We have a chat, we get sidetracked. Andy, not allowed to mention that, please. Thank you. We can do 9-0, says Dawn. Dawn, I would be happy with 1-0. Honestly, I would be happy with 1-0. Bradley says here, drop AFCON as he had no impact last week. I was disappointed with him. Obviously, it's only 1 game. And 1 game, you can't judge a player on that. But He did look a bit one-trick pony. He did look like he just wanted to cut in a bit. I'm not sure. Well, it wasn't a stonking debut, was it? And it was probably right that he was took off. Andy says about Mavadidi, he's neither fish nor foul, certainly not a winger. Well, could Mavadidi slot into that central attacking area potentially, Andy? And Andy, yeah, you're sort of just going, not sure. I've seen some good stuff from him this year, but I'm taking it a little bit cooler at the moment in that. Another Andy says, I think 10 points out of 15 would be good. Yes, Andy. I think most of us would take 10 points, wouldn't we? Now, in there, Graham says having two strikers up front will not canon in the Leicester City universe. Will not. I think there's a joke in there, Graham. You're trying to squeeze it out. You might need to slightly reword it. Are you trying to do a Marvel type of reference there, or am I missing that? I'm not sure. Good try anyway, Graham. 5 points for trying. Thank you, Graham. If anybody can do better joke about canon than Graham, please feel free. If that was a joke. Sorry, Graham. Past 10 to 15 years, never mind that long ago. Let's go 5 years. This is worst players. Gazelle, Ryan Bennett. Do you know what, Nicholas? You've said that. Ryan Bennett is going to be a running joke. In 20 years' time, we will still remember the name Ryan Bennett. Honestly, I trust he's one of those players. In 20 years' time, there'll be a whole new generation of Leicester players, and say, you'll bring it up and say, well, at least he's not Ryan Bennett, and people will be like going, who's Ryan Bennett? Who's this legendary Leicester player or whatever? Ryan Bennett cost us top four with Perez and Zila. I thought Perez did okay in there. Oh, with Patrick says Diabate, Gazelle. I'm waiting for somebody to say Musa and Slimani. Let's go for it on there. Andy says, this has been more positive. Fatouar, have I said that right, Andy? Got the crowd on their feet. He did. He actually that was we had Akgon on one half of the game, not really exciting anybody. And Fatouar came on and pretty much instantly had a go and did look exciting, hit the post. Could have been very different if it had gone in there. So, yeah, he did look positive in there. Scooby, good evening, Scooby. Hope you're well. Says, profile picture there, you're holding the FA Cup. Well done, mate. Shame whoever took the photo. Cut your head off, though. What's more important, Scooby? The FA Cup as your profile picture or your head? And you're going for, quite rightly, the FA Cup. It's a very long season, going to be highs and lows this season, but definitely Foxes will definitely make the playoffs for definitely sure up the Filberts. Thank you, Scooby. I hope we go. All right, here's a question. This is sort of based off Scooby's logic there is, if you were offered the playoffs right here, right now, for guaranteed, would you take them? Because I really want us to be in the top two. But I would ask myself the same question. If you're offered the playoffs now, would you take it? Because there is a bit of me that goes, yeah, maybe, because we're only 5 games in. I'm not sure where we're going to be. But that's what I want to ask you based on Scooby's. He's not asking that, but I'm asking you based on that. Would you take, if you're offered the playoffs right here today on September the 11th, would you take the playoffs? Because we can rewatch this video back in sort of April, May, and we can look back and go, oh, should have took it or not. It's one of those gambles, isn't it? It's a bit like the year when we won the league, the 5,000 to 1. Should you have quit? Should you have cashed out? Or should you? So would you? Put in the comments below if you would take the playoffs now, or if you think, no, way too early in there. Yes, Philip Upton says, give out the message, Leicestershire County Cricket Club. Good luck Saturday at Trent Bridge in the Metro Cup final. Yes, Phil. I was actually at I guess it was a semi-final down at Grace Road just a couple of weeks ago, where they won against Yorkshire. So well done to Leicestershire County Cricket Club. It's been a little while since they've had some success, so good luck to them on there. Reedy says here, Mavadidi will be better than Barnes. Heard it here first. Reedy, you don't half set yourself up. There you go. Do you agree with Jamie Reedy? Who knows? Maybe he will. Maybe Mavadidi will be better than Harvey Barnes. Me and Reedy have these debates all the time. But remember, really, Harvey Barnes is playing at a top 4 Premier League club and in Europe, Champions League this season. So at the moment, they're miles apart. And I believe Mavrididi's about the same age as Barnes, if I'm honest. So at the moment, it's a bit chalk and cheese, if I'm honest. Even though I'm a big fan of Leicester and Mavrididi, I know I'm allowed to. I don't think you can compare Mavrididi and Barnes at the moment because Harvey Barnes is playing there for Newcastle and Mavrididi is playing for a team that's below Preston, North End and Ipswich. So work that one out. Nick says in there, hopefully Cannon's loaded up and ready to fire when he comes to the squad. Thank you, Nick. Keep those coming in. I would hand young Cannon his debut at Southampton. Thanks. There's literally no joke in that. It's just flat, isn't it, Andy? Andy's just like, yeah, let's get Cannon out there. That's fine. Let the cannons fire. Whatever. Come on. You can do better than that. Keith says you'll get more shots from Atgun than a cannon. Keith, good try. Oh, Richard was saying, I was talking about wingers in the last 10 years. So you're saying Mavrididi is one of the worst wingers we've had in the last 10 years. Thank you, Richard, for clarifying. But I think you'll go back to Gazelle and Diabate were both wingers, weren't they? And you could argue Musa was a winger. Was Musa? I don't know. We didn't see much of Musa, did we, in there? But certainly Gazelle was meant to be a winger in there. So there's 2 or 3 off the top of my head. Nicholas says Ryan Bennett in the afternoon at Spurs. My God, how do we get on to Ryan Bennett? Let's try and keep away from Ryan Bennett. City will be involved in a game they will find difficult to win at Southampton. Who'll be out to prove a point against their recent thrashing in there. Thank you. Andy's bringing it back to the game in hand, which is on Friday. Southampton again. We'll come on to score predictions in a little bit, but that as I read on social media. A lot of like, it's going to be 9-0. It's a Friday night again. It'll probably rain. I think it's going to be tough. I know Southampton lost 5-0 the other day. I can't remember who to, but they did lose 5-0. But may I remind us all, we lost 1-0 at home to Hull. So they'll probably be looking at us and going, they've just lost. Keep the playoffs. We're coming in the top 2. Thanks, Bubba. I'm with you in there. Wayne says, good evening, Wayne. Not a chance better than Barnes. Wayne, honestly, listen, between me and you, I don't know if Reedy means these things. When he says it to me, I don't know if he's just like trying to wind me up. Honestly, he says these things. And then I'm like, Reedy, you just talk gobbledygook some days. Anyway, Chris Mavrididi still needs to prove himself. Of course, he's not playing at Leicester in the Championship for no reason. It's because that's his level at the moment. Bob says Reedy shouldn't be drinking so much. I could share a video of him on Friday. Yeah. His dance moves. I'm not going to, because he's probably got a video of me busting my dance moves. So we'll keep those well and truly under wraps, Reedy. Do not post. Chris says there, I'd take a 2-2 draw on Friday night. I don't know if the extra O's in there on purpose, Chris, on Friday night, mate. Are you from the country? I'd settle for 2-1, says Gav. I'd settle for any sort of victory down there. It would be nice, wouldn't it? Again, we hit a little bump in the road against Hull, which there was quite a big reaction. I must admit, I was partly at fault because I genuinely walked out of there against Hull. And I think I've said it before, but I was annoyed. I really was annoyed because I guess I've spent, like I've said, the last 9 years enjoying the high life, enjoying the Premier League, enjoying Man City's, Arsenal's, Man United's, Liverpool's, playing them, beating them, doing the lot. So to walk out of there having lost to Hull in the Championship, I was annoyed. As you all know. So I would take any sort of victory in there. Is Casady going to start instead of KDH, says Andy. I don't think he will. I think he could start instead of Ndidi, if I'm honest, but not KDH. Don't think they're. Do you think they play? Do you think that's the switch, Andy? Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Let me know if you're watching this. Do you agree with Andy? Do you think that is potentially Enzo's choice, Casady or Kieran Dewsbury Hall? I thought it was Casady or Ndidi. I think Ndidi looks a little bit out there. Whoa, that was Reedy dancing. He's just put that on there. Don't do that, Reedy. That just frightened the living daylights out of me. If you blinked, you missed it. Yeah, Casady, do you think he should be playing instead of KDH, or do you think he should be there instead of Ndidi? Let us know in there. I'm still recovering from that dancing of Rede. Will says there, what are you going to think if we lose to Southampton? Let's not go there. We've not done that yet. We're going to go and we're going to be positive, little Will, in there. So let's see if we're in there. Andy says, what will happen if Tumarescu, if City are not in the top 6 come December? Again, Andy, it's topics in the future. Honestly, at the moment, I think we've just got to be, we will be, obviously, keep on the positive. Kean says, KDH needs to be dropped, in my opinion. Kasady has to play. Interesting. Do you get there? Andy says, Kieran Dewsbury is trying to step into Madder's boots. I can see why. They're sort of similar players. And I don't think there's anything too wrong with that. In a way, I quite admire him for sort of trying to step in and step up. And I think there is a hole there where Madders has gone, and a fair play to Dewsbury Hall trying to step in it. Whether you guys think he's the right player to do that or good enough, it will be interesting. Chris, I tend to agree with you. I think if he does start, it would be in front of Ndidi. We have to remember there's some players at Leicester who will go off to the AFCON in January. So Ndidi certainly being one of those players, we will need backup for that the period. It's the AFCON's a long one. I think they're away for 6 or 7 weeks. So it's an interesting in there. Reedy says he didn't mean to play that. Yeah, yes, you did, Reedy. And we've all seen it. Go back and watch it if you want to watch it on YouTube and pause it. Or inbox me and I'll private message you, Reed, is bad dancing. Louis says Southampton away last season was so toxic, beginning of the end for Rodgers. Glad we have more optimism this season. That's an interesting one on there. Will really is in the misery guts there. We're going to lose on Friday. Will, what do I need to do to persuade you that we can go to Southampton and win? They've just lost 5-0, mate. I am definitely one of these for this Friday where I say keep the faith. I wouldn't be gutted if we came back with a draw. I think Southampton away, before any balls were kicked this season, I think if you said you're going to come away from Southampton away with a draw, I would take that. Would you? Let us know. I think we could certainly get a draw in there. David says, how many players are we losing to the AFCON? I think there's 2 or 3, isn't there? There's certainly Ndidi. Patson Daka would be 2. Somebody help me out. Is it just 2? Am I being thick? Let me know in the comments. Keenan Dewsbury Hall can't be made to feel he is exempt from being dropped if he plays rubbish, says Daniel in there. Andy says, leave Ndidi on the bench and see how we do. That's an interesting one. Richard says in here, Winks, Chelsea loan guy, and KDH in midfield in there. Chelsea loan guy. That guy, Chelsea, we loaned it in. The dinner jacket. Andy says, show us. I will. I'll show you, Andy, then. Andy says the dinner jackets are a good idea, but with blue dicky bows. Thank you, Andy. That was on Friday night. We were off to an awards night. Oh, thank you. Phillipton says Nacho. Matt says Nacho. Gav says Nacho. Terry says Nacho. Thanks, Nacho. Of course, Nacho. And Nacho will be a big loss, won't he? Nacho, knee lad, we got from Sporting in there. Oh, maybe. Yes. Again, I like this. We're at that stage, all of us, this season, aren't we? Where we're like, there's that many extra wingers come in here. You go, oh, yeah, that, the one from Sporting Lisbon. Yeah, that midfielder from Chelsea, the young lad. They're all, well, I say they're young lads. Not all of them are. Like, again, without Googling it, this is what I love. Who needs Google? Who needs Alexa? I just ask you. I just ask you guys the question. Somebody tell me in the comments how old Mavididi is, so I don't have to Google it, because I think he's about 25. Because I think you think of Mavididi being like one of these young, bright, spark kids. Well, he was that when he was, I believe, at Arsenal when he was 16, 17, 18. But he has been around a little bit. So I think Mavididi is about 25. And Keenan Dewsbury Hall, not as young as you think. So some of these guys are what I would class as being in their prime, 24, 25 in there. David says 24. Thank you. Is that Mavropanos 24? Gav says 20. Gav's just done. Gav, I could have done that. I think that's what I've done. I needed somebody to put the actual number in there. Gav's ask Siri or ask Gav. Gav, how old is Mavropanos? You even look like you've got a fag on there, innit, Gav? It's like 23, I think. Cheers, Gav, mate, for that. Absolute. That's absolutely fine, Reedy. Don't you worry, mate. Gav's having a little laugh. Still got your fag on in your profile picture. 23, I think. Thank you for that. AFCON, another under, Mark 2. Maybe Chaglar under. That just didn't work, did it? In there for us, in there. A place in the bench for Sutar. Steve, listen, it's interesting, isn't it, about the bench? For me now, the transfer window is shut. We know that. So, absolutely, if you ask me, absolutely pointless to have 2 goalkeepers on the bench. There is no need for that. There is no need for that. I've been watching Leicester City for a long time, as you guys know. I'm just doing my thinking there. You know, when I stop and I pause, it's because the brain is going, but the body's forgot to move. In all my years of watching Leicester City, have I ever seen us need 3 goalkeepers in a match? Oh yeah, I have once actually. Shrewsbury, 1982 FA Cup quarter-final. One of my all-time favourite games. 3 goalkeepers were used that day. If you are too young to remember that, go and have a look on YouTube. It is a fantastic one, a fantastic game in Leicester's history. You should go and watch it. Leicester City v Shrewsbury. YouTube it. FA Cup. I think it was the quarterfinals. We won 5-2. What a day. 3 keepers. Steve Lynex, Alan Young and Mark Wallington. But generally, apart from that, in 45 years of watching Leicester City or whatever it is now, never needed three keepers. So to have 2 keepers on the bench is just, for me, for me, it almost makes me go, what is going on that Patson Daka is not on the bench? He should be on the bench and don't need Iverson and Ward on the bench, do we? I know we've got 9 subs now, but you don't need 2 keepers on the bench. So Patson Daka should be on the bench for me, and Suter should be on the bench. That's easy ones, isn't it? And I'd have Albrighton on the bench. I'd have some of these players. In case you want to change tactics and move to a plan, I'm doing it again. Talking about that plan B. No change of tactics, no plan B. Anyway, in there. Yes. Andy says Alves and Braybrook back in training. Nice to see that. Both could be good players. They certainly look like they were in the right way. It was Alves had that big injury, so it would be good to see them come through. But I don't think they're going to be making big impact really this year. But who knows? Be interesting. Keith, I'm not forgetting Shrewsbury. Keith, I just told you about it. I did remember it in there. Is Big Nigel Bristol City manager? Yes. Does Andy King still play for them? Yes, I believe he does. And Matty James. I believe still. I did watch them. I watched them at the back end of last season, so I thought they were there in there. And he says we could do with Stevie Lynex now. I agree. Phil Upton saying Suter too slow against fast forwards. Phil, listen, Suter was playing against championship level forwards last season when we were in the Premier League, and we thought it was a good idea to sign him to play in the Premier League to help us gear up. So I hope he isn't too slow against fast forwards, because he was playing against Alfie Haaland last year, or should have been in the Premier League, and Mo Salah. So I assume whoever at Leicester City thinks that Suter was a great buy in January, bought him to play against Premier League strikers, the Mitrovic is, top quality ones. So I would like to think he can cope with championship ones. Hint of sarcasm there, Phil. Let's see what goes on. The Hot Dog Kid debut. Oh, Keith, who is the Hot Dog Kid? The Hot Dog Kid, isn't it Muggo? Is it Carl Muggleton, the Hot Dog Kid? Keith, let me know. Come on, you absolutely. These comments come from nowhere, don't they? And then all of a sudden, it has to come in there. So, Hot Dog Kid, is that Muggo? Who's the keeper? Carl Muggleton, who's now a car driving instructor around Queniborough, available from carlmuggleton.com. He taught my son to drive. It was like, again, my lad was learning to drive, and Carl Muggleton pulls up in his little Fiesta, and I'm like, it's Muggo from the 1991 playoff final. He can't be teaching. He's a legend. Anyway, we could do with Stevie Lynex now. We certainly could. What a legend. Daka will never play again. Cost us $5 million for one more appearance. Alex, that just could be one of those social media urban myths. I do think sometimes, I insist that we never start any of these urban myths on Leicester Fan TV. Because it'd be so easy to just, I think I've read that, you've read that, we've all read that off the internet. And so therefore we'll take it's true. I don't think I've seen that anywhere official in there. And to be fair, if he does cost 5 million to play one more game, play him, because we spent 20 million and it costs us 75 grand every week. So just let's get over that. There's no point. It doesn't make sense if Daka isn't in the squad, does it, Alex, to me, in there? McAteer should start, says Andy. I thought you had a bit of a mixed game against Hull. Obviously, a great game away at Huddersfield, but a bit of a mixed one against Hull. He had that fullback on toast, a yellow card in the first 10 minutes, Andy, and then didn't really go at him. Yeah, Andy says he probably put. I get that, but that's stupidity to have two. Is it stupidity or is that just me? Why would you have 9 subs and have 2 of them as keepers? The chances of having a keeper injure himself and a keeper injure himself is like, it's just not going to happen. Will says we've been unlucky for the first 6 matches. We've been lucky, sorry. We got found out against Hull. Get ready for the second match of the season. Oh, Will really is miserable. You miserable boy, Will. I can say that because he's my brother, but he's also having a go. Come on, Will. Cheer up, mate. Reedy says that's why Jake can't drive well. Cheeky. I'll tell him you said that. Oh, the hot dog kid was Russell Holt. That's it. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for getting us in there. And Paul just confirmed to me he was called the hot dog kid because he was literally, Russell Holt was a keeper. I'm right in saying that. He was a keeper, wasn't he, Paul? He was literally having a hot dog, I think, in the stands, and somebody got injured on the pitch. I'm going to guess maybe somebody like Kevin Poole, about that sort of era. And Russell Holt was literally eating a hot dog in the stands, and somebody said, "You're on. You're on. Get down there." I think he got injured in a warm-up, the guy did. Thank you. Richard said as well, Russell Holt in there. Keith says Russell Holt. Matt Shepherd says Russell Holt v Wolves. Remind me, just before we go, why the hot dog king? It was because he was in the stand, wasn't it? All you guys got it right in there. Thank you so much in there. Michael Lee is backing up Will. At least Will tells the truth. We're going to lose. We're going to lose 2. This is my impression of Will. We're going to lose 2-0. I'll tell you. Will's normally the positive brother as well. Honestly. Come on, Will. You got to get in there. Michael's now backing you up. Listen, we can go to Southampton and win. Of course we can. We're not going to lose 2-0. Ian says he was trying to force the club to move these players on so could bring others in. Ian, is that you talking about Enzo and why he wasn't playing Suter and Daka in the squad? Interesting. Yeah, just as you said. Thank you, Keith. So that's Russell Holt, the hot dog kid. I can't remember the year. We're going for Kevin Poole got injured in the warm-up, and Russell Holt was literally in the stands. This was back in the day when you didn't have a keeper on the bench at all. I think I'm right in saying. Maybe that, Keith? I don't know. Back in the day. Oh, I remember when there was only 1 sub. Them were the days. 9 subs. I used to go into town and have 1 sub on a Saturday. Now, you youngsters get 9. God, dearie me. And a pie costs £6 and a pint costs £7. World's changed, Keith, hasn't it, mate? You could have had a hot dog and 1 sub and still had change to get home after a night in Crystals. I don't know where we're going with this. Will says get £1 on it and I get the draw. Okay, Will, let's have £1. I'll bet you £1, Will, that Leicester don't lose on Friday. That gives me the draw and the win. So sensible. Thank you. I'll take that off you on Saturday. He replaced Carl Muggleton in goal. Thank you, says Mark. Thank you for clarifying that. It wasn't Kevin Poole. It was Muggo in goal and Russell Holt got the nod. Thank you so much. I don't know where this show has gone today. We've gone all over. Absolutely all over, including the hot dog kid, 3 subs, 3 keepers, what have you. But do you know what? It's always a pleasure talking with you lot. We always have fun. Who knows where it's going to go. Next Monday, we're back, 7:30. We'll obviously look back on the game against Southampton that is going to be this Friday. On Thursday this week at 7 o'clock-ish, we've got championship chat with Locks hosting that. We've got a match preview with Sam and Reedy. They'll also be doing a tactics show as well this week. And fingers crossed, we'll have a watch-along show on Friday night as well. So, lots coming up on Leicester Fan TV. Make sure you get all your views, your comments in. And thanks for everybody who's watched and been part of tonight's show. I'll see you all next Monday if I don't see you before. Come on, I've got £1 coming in on Saturday from Will. I'll share it with you all at the next home game against Bristol City. See you later.